Because I think previously you are limited to maybe 4 sittings in a year.
Yeah, 4 sittings in a year. We meet quarterly, yeah.
You still meet quarterly?
Yeah.
The rate of per diem has changed, or is still the old?
It's the old one.
So what do you want to say as an audit committee chair that could prompt the Senate to take some action?
At the moment, I'll talk later.
No, this is your golden opportunity. I am giving you an opportunity to shine, and you are shying.
Sorry, I said that because I was told I'll be given another chance to talk.
That would be on pending bills. Okay. You are, and I think this would be useful for us. As I said, Governor, it is not all governors carry their audit chairs, and I'm happy that you did. So I just want to hear what challenges they have, because
it is her maiden appearance, so you can bring her up to speed. Maybe specifically, she's never appeared here. The committee has never appeared. This is her maiden appearance.
Yeah, she's never been a governor. So there are terms and conditions for members of the audit committee. We have been told that counties struggle to get competent professionals. In fact, most professionals join the audit committee as giving back. It's almost pro bono. You're a professional, you want to give back, you want to support your county. Because if you go for the remuneration, it is not attractive at all. That is a perception we have gotten. Now we have found the right person. Are there incentives, proper incentives, for one to be a member of the audit committee at the county level?
Yeah. Or the rest of the counties. Yeah. And maybe also, when you're given another opportunity, tell us how you report to the governor. Does he invite you, or do you, or you see a flag, do you go to the governor? How do you operate? We really need to understand and to learn.
Okay, so Governor, we usually take the view that beyond the CEO, there are other officers who have responsibilities. And so sometimes we will address them directly, because some of them have got professional responsibility, the accountants, the advocates, the procurement officers. And if we find that something was not done properly, we shall not hesitate to hold them personally liable. But to the chair of the audit committee, do not be intimidated. What we are looking for are proposals to make life easier for other committees across the country. Unless there's any other preliminary, we could proceed to the report of the Auditor General on the County Executive of Migori. Because the Senate has already generated recommendations, what we'll do is that we'll look at the auditor. You'll refresh our memory on what your finding was. The clerk of the Senate will tell us what we recommended, and then we will ask the entity to whom a matter was marked to give us an update on its status. Auditor General, you could start with the very first issue that we had marked as unresolved.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The first issue in the summary briefs is about unsupported expenditure on the wages. And this relates again in terms of there was 141 million, which was already spent. And the issues about the temporary staffs that has not been issued with the letter of appointments, and also the supporting documentation for those temporary staff.
Dr. I think just read your summarized audit finding, because there could be people following and they might not have visibility on the issue. Just read the issue, the amount, and the documents that were missing. It needs to come out very clearly.
Yeah, the issue number one is unsupported expenditure on the wages. Kenya shilling 141,269,005 was spent on the basic wages for temporary employees. However, the letters of the appointment for the temporary employees were not provided for audit review. Management explained that most of the temporary employees were inherited from the defunct local authorities, and the process of regularizing them or the engagement is ongoing.
Clerk of the Senate, what was our recommendation on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, the committee recommended that the county executive expedite the regularization of all temporary staff engagements through the now functional county public service board, and immediate steps should be taken to issue letters of appointment to the 441 casuals whose recruitment has been completed, and all supporting documentation should be made available for audit review to confirm the existence, accuracy, and completeness of the wages paid to the Office of the Director General within 60 days from the date of adoption of the report. Number two, that the county executive management should establish a robust internal controls to ensure that all future engagements of temporary employees are properly documented and approved in compliance with relevant regulations.
Chair, can I request on procedure?
Yes, Senator Chirage.
Because my question will tie up to a number, because I can see there is number 1, there is number 11, non-compliance, delay in confirmation of employment, and 13. Is it fair if we can go through, under your guidance, of course, the 3 of them, because the questions I would want to query on this might touch partly on the other 3 aspects of human resource? I don't know.
I would recommend that we deal with this separately because it has a specific amount.
Okay.
The other 2 have got a policy element to them.
Okay.
They've got a policy element to them. We can handle them jointly, but this one is specifically 141 million spent on temporary employees, and the auditor saying that that expenditure was not supported. And I think, Governor, when you sat on this chair, the conversation was
Schedules, Annex 1B, sample time sheet. They are attached, and if you go to those annexes.
so the auditor had questioned letters of appointment for the temporary employees that were not provided for audit review. Have you now provided those?
Let me ask.
Because you have said it is in the process. Now, in the process, does it mean some have been issued, others are pending?
Let me ask the Vice Chair of the County Public Service Board to respond on my behalf.
Vice Chair, just clarify what you mean when you say is in the process. Tell us that process, it has how many steps, and you are in step number what?
Thank you very much, Chair. We finalized with the recruitment. Actually, we are at the tail end. We have already identified the 411 whom we are issuing letters to. And the issuance of the letters is to begin, actually, it is to begin tomorrow. So before the end of this month, we shall have the 411 having their letters.
So it means that this matter is unaddressed because there's no evidence beyond the anecdotes that you have provided. There is no evidence that you have closed the gap as pointed out by the Auditor General.
We haven't closed the gap by giving out the letters, but the process is actually more or less at the tail end of the completion because we did the advertisement, we have interviewed all of them.
Would it have been useful to provide evidence of that process? The advertisements, whatever steps that you are taking? Because now what you are dealing with is hearsay.
We can share that, Chair. Sorry for that.
Senator Chirage?
Chair, may I assist her? The issue was relating to the issuance of the letters, the actual letters. I think the evidence she had in mind was the actual letters. But if the process is required and they are available for audit, the advertisements and the processes shortlisting. But I think to the board, what they think and they thought was sufficient proof of satisfying this audit query was the actual letters. And I know for a fact that applicants for temporary jobs are in tens of thousands because everybody qualifies for that if you look at it in nearly all counties. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, Senator
Chair, I
Chirage, then Vice
agree
Chair.
with you that the non-issuance of letters goes to the how 141 million was being spent. So now that the Vice Chair of County Public Service Board is yet to provide us with the letters, then this matter remains, this money cannot be accounted for. Because if it is not, this one of the query was the letters of appointment. Governor, the last time before you took over, are these still part of Sangwenyas that were in Migori? Or where did Sangwenyas go? Are you hiding them through this number of 411? Because, you know, if you don't want people to be known, you just say we are in the process. And even the County Public Service Board has said, or she has not even produced an advert of advertisement, work schedule, or even minutes of the board to show that they are in the process of issuance. Chair, the only thing I can see here is an imprest. And Chair, I don't know, I thought the imprest is individual. Because in this payment voucher of 3,910,000 was issued to, there is not, which annex, I'm just referring to the annex of the governor, 1A. I'm just using the governor's information. This one, annex 1 on sample bank payment schedules, sample time sheets. This one, I don't know whether governor is this, that will be my second question. So you need to clear on the issue of Sangwenyas, and then on the second question is...
When you say Sangwenya, could you use language that you could understand, or you could describe or define what you mean by Sangwenya?
But Chair, you come from that region, you are better placed
It is not in the Luo dictionary.
You know, we are
what I meant, let me just
Yeah, just help us to understand.
Yes,
I know you have some
last,
background.
These are the courtiers of the governor. They carry around the governor's seat. They go and to lease a ground. You know, they are gold goons. They are goons in suits. They make sure the place looks nice for the governor. Akisema uchilo, wanasema 2 terms. So, but that is beside the point. Now, the one on, that is why I really wanted to know whether these 411 are still part of it. And secondly, Governor, I thought the issuance of payment voucher should have been specific, because I can see somebody was issued with 3,910,000 shillings only, and 8 shillings. Who was this person? I can see it's Director of Finance. So is this an impress that were being issued and attached to the schedule? Because if it is an impress, Chair, impress, as you have always said, it's more individual. So Chair, let me leave it at that. Those will be my 2 questions.
Okay, Senator Sifuna, then Senator Marum.
I had hoped that there's another way to ask that question, Governor, because I've seen the schedule that you have attached at Annex 1A, bank payment schedules. You've seen all these people are earning a net pay of 12,473, and they work in the medical department. That's what it says. So maybe you just tell us what these people do on a day-to-day. And then secondly, Governor, if you look at the committee recommendation, and this is where the chair was coming from, the committee recommended that you expedite the regularization of all temporary staff engagements through the now functional County Public Service Board, and immediate steps should be taken to issue letters of appointment to the 411 casuals whose recruitment has been completed. So, if you appear a day before those letters are issued, and you want to demonstrate that you actually follow the committee recommendations, you just bring a documentation that will show those steps that you've been taking. The advertisement, the shortlisting, any of those things, so that the bank schedules here really don't help us as much as those ones would have helped us. And it is very suspicious when somebody says it will be ready tomorrow, knowing today is the day of the meeting, and we will not be here tomorrow, Governor. So I think that is what was expected from you as.
Okay, do you want to respond, or you take the Vice Chair's question first?
Man, it's just one small thing, just following from what the Vice Chair said. You know, in this query, the auditor said that they did not have documentation for audit review, like letters of appointment on the temporary employees. And now the explanation was these were inherited from the defunct
housing levy, all of those things. when you look at them, they have a significant impact on what the wage bill means. There are also facilities that are completely unmanned. For instance, we have 167 health facilities, a single nurse and several casuals. If you look at all those dynamics, you will find that the number has to rise. When it is raised by 500 million, it may appear to be significant against our budget, but all the county budgets are suppressed because the county revenues are not enough, just like national revenues, the shareable revenues. So yes, 500 million is significant, but if you were to ask the ideal budget for running Migori County, for running Nairobi, Taita Taveta, I don't know about Nairobi, they have a better on-source revenue. We actually ought to be spending more on revenue, but harder times. So the number seems significant, and we hopefully will compensate when we fully achieve our on-source revenue target. And there is something we are doing about on-source to achieve the on-source revenue target.
You see, out of that 500 million on temporary employees, those are four times increase from 34 to 141. Now, auditor, I think you need to also drill into this so that you have clarity. Counties will hide under the percentage. So their percentage is 38%, which does not look to be too bad. But if you go into the details, you'll find specific expenditure lines with very, very insane increases. A 4 times increase on temporary employees should raise the flag. A 17% increase on permanent employees should also invite some questions. Auditor, is it something you have a view on, or it's something that you can look at much deeper? Because I know it is not part of this report, but it's something that cannot escape our attention as a Senate.
In fact, yeah. Auditors, you are auditing. When you see that leap, big leap of 400, 500 million, what do you look at? There might be new employment, or maybe implementation of CBAs and so on. So if it is new employment, it must be accompanied by some things like needs assessment. You know, maybe there are some hospitals that have been opened, some new ECD centers that have been opened, some new employment, which then culminates into that. Or how do you then do your audit? How do you do your audit when you see that leap?
Yeah,
Auditor?
Thank you, Chair. For us, when we do the audit, of course, as you said, we look in terms of the comparative. As you pointed out, you see the previous figure that has been reported, which has already been audited, and again, the current now, maybe the financial year. So the question is, if there is a growth of an expenditure, there must be an there must be underlying explanation for that. So if there are casuals, you see, like now the way they are saying that the casual has been there are 400,000, and you can see even the figure of 141, we are referring to those 400 casuals. So there must be an explanation as to why the figure is going up. And for us, when we do the audit, we even are bound in terms of that growth of those figures. We'll not just concentrate on the wage bill, as you say, but we look in terms of the items, in terms of the expenditures. And that's how we look at it.
So might we find the answer on this when we come to non-compliance with fiscal responsibility principle on wage bill? Are we going to find the answer? Because there was a growth from 34% to 38%. Maybe we look at that and see whether there's an answer to the question that we're raising.
I'm also being given additional information about the temporary workers. One, there was also an increase in what they were being paid earlier. I think about during this epoch, it was about 10,000 per person. It went to 12, or it went to 14, but the net is 12.5. So that is also there in terms of these temporary workers. And
Governor, why don't we just look at what you responded to, because it's tied to the substantive finding,
Chair, before
on fiscal responsibility. But before then,
Chair,
Senator
before,
Tróuble.
I think Governor, maybe somebody can assist you to write down so that we don't need to go back. The issue of 3.9 million, we are not commended. Chair, just to build upon the question I had asked, looking at note number 11 on compensation of employees, it grew from 2.9 billion to 3.2 billion in this year under review. And that year, the transfer from CRF was 8.5 billion. So, Governor, my question would be, you had indicated in your answer that some of these temporary staff were in municipal. Some of them were inherited. So, to build on what the chair has asked, this significant, and I invite you to look at your own financial statements. I think the financial statement and note number 2 on compensation of employees, page number 36, that increased from 34 to 141 million. Yet in your answer, you had said most of these temporary staff were there even before you joined. What caused this significant growth? Because I can see in your answer, the action plan, you have said further, the board is considering recruiting additional 600 temporary staff to meet the staff needs of various departments by 30th December 2025. Governor, you are already at 3.2 billion in this year under review. One, you have said majority of temporary staff were inherited from the previous municipalities, but from the compensation of employees, that has grown by 4 times. So my question is, you need to say something about that, and this question of additional 600 temporary staff, will it not grow the compensation of employees from the year, I don't know the current one because it's 2 years, 3.2 billion then that was used as a compensation towards employees in page 3 on your own financial statements. So will it still keep going up, considering that maybe Salat, what is the revenue potential of Migori County? Because in the answer of the governor, he has said he will work hard by ensuring that they collect more. So maybe you can just say the revenue potential through the chair, and then the governor can answer my 2 simple questions.
Maybe you should respond on the actual, because the percentage is based on actual rather than the potential. Okay. And the actual, we had demonstrated earlier, that was even a shortfall of 70 million. So, no, but you have asked a fair question, which we can deal with some things with specificity, but also the governor can give us a broad picture, because we are used to counties at 55%. At Kisi was, we were arguing whether it was 60 or it was lower. I think neighboring counties like Komabek would be on 50-something percent. I think Sia is at 30-something percent. Now, you have moved Migori from a very healthy 34% to an unhealthy 38%. So I thought that you were going to make things better going to Migori. So deal with the specific issues, but then also paint for us a global picture to ensure that we go back to the 35%.
Maybe, Chair, just before you allow, maybe just have this alert for my own comfort to tell us what is the revenue potential. Remember, your county was talking about revenue potential, but they were under collecting. But when we removed the FIF, we realized they were under collecting after the new act. Maybe you can just go on record what the revenue potential was.
So
thank you, Chair. The revenue potential for Migori County is 915 million. So in the actual, they are collecting a third of the potential. Thank you.
You know, you guys, well, it's not, I don't think it's your figure, it's a CRA figure, isn't it? The revenue potential. Yes. It needs to be reworked with facility funds out of the picture. Because some counties are reporting very huge collections from health facilities. And we have listened to the president say that nobody should charge a fee in level 1, level 2, level 3, including level 4. But we still find in your financial statements collections from those facilities. So who is telling the truth? Is it the president or is it the governors?
We are telling the truth, and the president is also not lying. And I'll tell you how. When you, the president is not lying on this, and we are telling the truth. When you do not charge a fee on level 1 and 2, normally when a registered SHA person appears before those facilities, there is a refund. I think it's once in a year. What is it called? It has a name, about 1,000 per person. It covers for that. So basically, there is revenue from
Is
all
it
those.
the capitation?
Capitation, yes, you have the right word. So when many people attend a health facility, for instance, in my village called Manyata, there is one called Nyasori, and probably there is one in another village. The more they attend, the more the capitation is. That should meet that need. So it still generates revenue. So when the president says don't charge, yes, there is a capitation that takes care of that. Now, to respond to Senator Cherargai's issue, this is our response. One, when we talk about recruiting additional 600, we are talking about regularization. You regularize through recruitment. It may not increase the number, but it enables the county to issue letters of appointment. So that is the progression we are trying to make. We are trying to have the temporary staff have letters of engagement so that the auditors will observe and Senate will observe that we are progressively complying with that requirement. If you calculate our wage bill in 2024, 2025, if you look at it, which is 3,240,000,000 and some other figures against our revenues of 9 billion, it's at 35.7%. So it's not that we are growing exponentially and violating the requirement with impunity. We are trying to control the pressure. But again, Chair, from where I sit, and this may not be scientific, but I suspect that this figure of 141, just allow me to be 141 from 34, I think it is my administration is the one that is now capturing it accurately. I think the number 34 was suppressed. It was law reporting. Because when we now...
So where would they be paid from?
You see, the 2022-2023, we came into office. When we came into office, these numbers that you are seeing, we picked them from the administration that was ahead of us. They reported this as the wage bill of casuals. This was what, in my view, this is my view. When the actual report, when we did our own report and looked at it, this is the number that we came up with. I do not think, and I stand to be corrected, as the auditors will check, whether we agree with this first. Yes, we got people to man health and other places, but when we will drill down on the numbers, and now that it has come to my attention, we can see how many, in addition to what existed, we added. But it could not have raised this number by 300%. I'm certain of that. We have casuals, and we have many of them, and the departments have been paying them, and our administration is insisting on documenting them, paying them not through cash, paying them through the banks, and also having a timesheet so that they are not as fluid and as invisible as sanguineous. So this is the number that we were able to capture during this financial year, and that is what is accurate. Thank you, Chair.
Question?
Chair, I'm finding the governor's explanation very problematic because the people are reporting are CPS and professionals. If you have 500 employees earning 38 million, and the list is there, and now you're saying maybe it was underreporting, and so the actual value is this. So where would we get the rest of the people who are being paid, or how are they being paid? You know, that is a really big problem to me, Governor. Is it possible to pick wrong data and to pick the employees from elsewhere and bring them into the fray of employees of the county so that the budget can go up? If paying 100 employees costs 30 million, then if they are supposed to be paid, there's supposed to be 300 employees, then we should ask, where were these 200 employees being paid from? That is really problematic to me.
Governor?
Well, for instance, when we came into office, 2022, at that particular time, you would find that there were casuals with arrears amounting to over 12 months. With arrears, you would find that there are health facilities where casuals would be working there. They are not getting paid, but they are actually working there. Some of them, if you looked at them closely, were as desperate to the extent that you would find them involved in trying to collect monies from the patients to survive on, because...
So there was deduction at source to
yes,
take care of them.
Some of those things. So in this year, when you now want to document everybody and pay them, part of the shift from 34 to 144 arose out of that one. That was the administration before us. We do not want to judge them negatively, but that is the information we received. Now, when we were documenting our casuals and looking at them, they were not new people, but they were not in this reportage. So when
Did you carry out what new governors have done?
Yes,
staff
we did.
Audit?
Yes, we did. We audited them, and we audited what was paid to them, and the details of how they were receiving their remuneration. And the issue of casuals is a headache. It's a headache.
Have you seen a copy of the OAG's report on special audit on payroll in Migori? Has it been brought to your attention, Governor?
One was issued recently last week. We have not had occasion to meet over it. Last week was a sweet week for Homa Bay and Migori Devolution Conference, so we got lost in that mix and we didn't have.
So since there's a special audit report on that, I think it would be useful for us to apply our minds to the interrogation that was done by the Office of the Auditor General. You know, on the surface, having been on the 34%, 33% ratio, we have seen worse scenarios. But it should not be a license for you to try and keep up with your neighbors. Some of your neighbors are not the best example when it comes to this particular matter. So please just ensure it remains within that 35% threshold. Senator Chirargi.
Chair, I think I also agree with the Vice Chair, because, Governor, this is the financial statements are generated by you. And by the time it comes up, it goes through the... So, Governor, was there any amended financial statements to try and correct or to put into perspective what you are indicating? Because in 2022-2023, I want to believe that the governor was sworn in the first quarter of financial year, that is around September, because the financial year began in June 2022 and ended in June 2023. So governor had opportunity to rectify. So my concern, since you are coming in the first quarter of that financial year, even if you had noticed this, is there an amended financial statements to reflect the position that you are alluding to? And number two, would it be in order, Chair, to allude that if we can get the recommendations of the staff audit that was done, so that we can see what the, I don't know, Governor, whether it was it done internally or did you gazette people who did that? So that will be my two follow-up questions.
I may respond. Actually, for 2022-2023, the provision of the budget for casuals was this, 34 million. And since we were in office, starting 25th, which was yesterday. Actually, yesterday is our 3rd anniversary in office. At the end of that year, now we were documenting the actual staff and what they were owed. That is what led to this growth. At the end, because we found the budget running, you expend what is in the budget. At the end of the year, you notice that there are some staff who have not been paid for 1 year. In fact, for those who look at, and I wish my senator was here, some of the demonstrations were going to his office asking for those wages, and my office, the people who had not been paid. So when we came to 2023, 2024, we had to factor these people who had not been paid for a long time. So that is what grew the number. Some of the ones that had not been captured by the previous administration, but they needed to be paid and they could prove that there was staff. So it grew this number. So I still strongly believe that this suppressed number of 34 million was an inaccurate number based on non-payment and non-accounting of the casuals or the temporary staff at that particular time. The accurate number, together with the raise and a few additionals that we had, is what cost the 141 million. The head count we did internally. We actually got the assistance of the professional body that is responsible for HR. For the casuals, we counted them ourselves internally. We also verified people's certificates, and some of them, about 100 and something, did not have the correct or legally approved certificates.
Now that you are casting doubt on the figures presented in prior year, I would also want to question how employer contribution to compulsory national health insurance scheme was at 230 million in the prior year and only 52 million in the reporting year. One would have expected that as the figure, as you grow your employee cost by 500 million, there would be a corresponding increase in insurance scheme cover. Is this 230 million therefore an accurate representation for the year 2022-2023?
To add also, Chair, if you notice at other personal payments, which I want to believe maybe union dues or statutory, in the previous financial year, 2022-2023, it was 67 million. But in 2022-23, it was negative. It was zero. Maybe the governor can speak to it.
So are these numbers that ring a bell?